Welcome back, everybody, to our series on Italian Americans in Hollywood, episode 47. I'm Daley Giacopella.
And Sadie Bruni.
This time, we're going to be looking at the career of the actor Armand Assante. You probably know him from some of his roles, but we're going to try and find out some interesting facts about him.
Yeah.
Okay, so Armand Assante was born in New York City
Of course, New York.
on October 4th, 1949.
Hmm.
And when you look at his filmography, it's he's been in a lot of things.
Yes.
Like 70 or 80 films and 40 or 50 television shows.
Quite a journey.
Yeah, it is. So that's a lot.
It is.
You know, a lot of people know him for his very intense dramatic roles.
Yeah, he's got a lot of intensity.
Yeah.
But he didn't start out that way.
No.
No, his first opportunities came from Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, not from some of the famous directors that were initially interested in him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Francis Ford Coppola and Terrence Malick.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did he meet Stallone on a film set or?
That's a good question. The sources don't say.
Okay.
The first role he had was as an extra in The Lords of Flatbush in 1974.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that.
Yeah. And then a few years later, he co-starred with Stallone in Paradise Alley in 1978.
Paradise Alley. I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
I wonder if those experiences shaped his approach to acting.
That's an interesting thought.
It's interesting to contrast, you know, those early roles working with Stallone and then going to embody these characters.
Right, like Caesar Castillo in The Mambo Kings.
Yeah.
Or the villain in Judge Dredd.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and of course, John Gotti.
Oh, yes.
He won an Emmy for that.
That's right. And you can't forget his incredible performance as Odysseus
Oh, yeah?
in The Odyssey,
Yeah.
which he won a Golden Globe for.
He was great in that.
Yeah.
It's such a great role.
Yeah, he really brought some depth to that character.
Speaking of bringing depth, did you know that he studied with Sanford Meisner
Oh, yeah?
at the Neighborhood Playhouse School of the Theater?
I did know that, yeah.
For people who don't know, Meisner was a very influential acting teacher,
Very influential.
known for a technique that emphasized emotional honesty.
Creating believable reactions
Yeah.
on stage and on screen.
You can see that in his work.
You can definitely see that, yeah.
So, you know, it makes me wonder, you know, he had some jobs before acting,
Right.
like construction.
Yeah, various jobs.
I wonder if those jobs contributed to his acting.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah, like in the sense of being able to understand all walks of life.
Right. And the physicality of construction work.
Exactly.
That could definitely inform his acting.
There's a physicality to his acting for sure.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something that you might not know. He's also a painter.
A painter.
His artwork's been in galleries.
Wow, that's interesting. Makes you wonder if there's a connection between his acting and his painting.
Right. Like, does one influence the other?
Yeah. And does he use similar creative processes for both?
That's a great question for the listeners to think about.
Yeah,
It challenges the idea that artists can only excel in one medium.
absolutely. Yeah, it really is interesting to think about how different art forms influence each other.
Yeah, and how they intertwine.
Hmm.
Okay, let's move on to his personal life now.
All right.
He was married to Karen Allen,
Karen Allen.
you know, the actress.
Oh, yeah, from Raiders.
Yeah, from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, that's right.
From 1982 to 1992, they have 2 daughters together.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, only one daughter is mentioned in the sources we have.
Really?
A.J. Asante.
A.J. Asante.
Yeah.
Huh. I wonder about the other daughter.
Yeah, it makes you wonder.
Why is there no information?
Yeah, is it a deliberate choice for privacy, or are there other factors at play?
It's an interesting question because we have so much information available these days, you know?
Right, you would think we would know.
Yeah, so it's interesting that there's this one area that's just kind of a blank.
Yeah, and also, speaking of his daughters, A.J. seems interested in the arts,
Okay.
but hasn't pursued acting as a career.
So maybe she's a painter?
Maybe.
Or a musician or something?
It makes you think about the paths we choose, right?
It does.
Especially when you come from families with a strong artistic legacy.
Right. Does it inspire you to follow in their footsteps?
Or forge your own path.
Exactly.
But, you know, returning to Asante himself, I think it's important to acknowledge the impact he's had on the entertainment industry.
Absolutely.
And, you know, particularly in his portrayals of Italian-American characters.
He's definitely a prominent figure in that realm.
He's played everything from mobsters to romantic leads businessmen to artists.
He has.
His filmography really reflects the diversity of the Italian-American experience.
And he brings a certain gravitas to these roles. Think about his performance in the Mambo Kings.
Yeah.
He captures the passion and the struggles of a Cuban-Italian musician trying to make it in New York.
He really immerses himself in those characters.
Yeah, you can feel the authenticity in his performances.
Almost as if he's channeling the spirit of those individuals.
Exactly.
Giving voice to their stories and their experiences.
And that's what makes his work so compelling, I think.
It's not just entertainment.
It's a glimpse into the heart and soul of a culture.
I agree, and he's become a sort of cultural ambassador.
He has.
Representing the Italian-American community on screen.
And he does it with such style and charisma.
Yeah, he does. He's got that classic Italian charm.
It shines through in his performances.
Makes him all the more captivating.
Absolutely.
You know, it's interesting to consider how his Italian-American heritage has influenced his career choices.
Right.
Do you think he feels a responsibility to represent his community authentically?
That's an interesting question. It's hard to say for certain, but there's definitely a sense of pride and respect for his heritage that comes through in his work.
It does. Well, you know, on that note, while we've touched upon some of his notable roles, I think it's worth exploring his legacy a bit further.
Okay.
How would you describe his impact on Hollywood?
I think Armand Assante has brought a certain intensity and depth to the roles he's played. He's not afraid to kind of delve into the darker sides of human nature.
The complexities.
Yeah, exploring the complexities of his characters with a raw honesty that's both fascinating and unsettling.
He's not afraid to take risks.
He's not.
He often chooses roles that challenge him.
Right, pushing him to explore those new emotional depths.
Yeah, and that's what makes him so memorable. You mentioned earlier that he won the Golden Globe for his performance in The Odyssey.
I did.
And an Emmy for his portrayal of John Gotti.
Yes, and those awards are a testament to his talent.
Yeah.
But I think his legacy extends far beyond accolades.
I agree.
You know, he's inspired countless aspiring actors.
Absolutely.
With his work, demonstrating the power of commitment and dedication to your craft.
He's shown that it's possible to have a long and successful career by choosing roles that challenge you and by staying true to your artistic vision.
And by constantly pushing yourself to grow.
Right. It's also worth noting that he's remained relatively private.
Throughout his career.
Yeah, he hasn't sought out the spotlight in the same way that some other actors have.
No, he lets his work speak for itself.
Exactly, and that's refreshing.
It is.
You know, in an industry that often values appearances over substance,
yes,
he prioritizes the craft above all else.
It's a reminder that there are still artists who are driven by a love for their work.
And who are committed to using their talents to tell meaningful stories.
Absolutely.
So what can we learn from Armand Assante's journey? What are some of the key takeaways for you?
I think his career highlights the importance of pursuing your passions, even if they take you down unconventional paths.
Right.
Remember, he worked a variety of jobs before finding success as an actor.
It's a reminder that sometimes the most fulfilling journeys involve unexpected detours.
They do, and it's never too late to pursue your dreams.
That's right.
He's also shown us the importance of embracing your heritage and using your platform to tell stories that matter.
Yeah.
His portrayals of Italian-American characters have brought depth and complexity to the representation of this community on screen.
He's helped to broaden our understanding of Italian-American culture.
Showing its richness and diversity.
Yeah.
And finally, I think his commitment to his craft, his dedication to authenticity, and his ability to embody characters with such depth and conviction are all qualities that we can admire and aspire to.
Regardless of our chosen profession.
Regardless of our profession, exactly.
It's a reminder that true artistry comes from a place of passion, integrity, and a willingness to explore the depths of human experience.
As we're wrapping up our exploration of Armand Assante, I keep thinking about something we talked about earlier, the mystery surrounding his other daughter. Oh, yeah. It's so interesting, right? Like, we know so much about his life and career.
Exactly.
But this one thing is just completely hidden.
Yeah. Do you think it was a deliberate decision to protect his family's privacy?
Maybe. Or maybe there are other things going on that we don't know about.
It really makes you think about how, even though we have access to all this information online,
right,
there are still parts of people's lives that remain very private.
It's true. And sometimes we don't even know what we don't know.
And it reminds us that the stories we hear about famous people, they might not be the whole picture.
Right. It's just a small part of their lives.
And there are probably many untold stories out there.
Yeah, and different perspectives that we might not even be aware of.
I guess we can speculate all day about his other daughter.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's his story to tell.
Exactly. And everyone has the right to decide how much they want to share.
It's important to respect those boundaries.
I agree. But it is interesting to think about.
It is. But, instead of focusing on that, maybe we can just appreciate the amazing career he has had.
Yeah. All the characters he's brought to life and how he has represented Italian-American culture.
Exactly.
He's really given us a lot to think about.
He has.
He really has challenged stereotypes.
Yeah.
And shown us the complexity of the Italian-American experience.
Well, I think that about wraps up our deep dive into Armand Assante.
Thanks for joining us.
Please remember to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future episodes. And don't forget to check out the link in the video description for that great book on Italian-American history. We'll see you next time.